There are 5 child YouTubers that seem to have everything. Millions of subscribers, and a life that most people could only dream of. Unfortunately, as they grew up, they would go on to lose absolutely everything, starting with the children from Fantastic Adventures. There was a time where Fantastic Adventures looked like one of the safest places on YouTube. Run by Michelle Hackney, the channel featured her 7 adopted children acting in bright, colourful skits designed for younger audiences, whose names, for legal reasons, were never made public. The videos were simple, as they focused towards nerf battles and roleplay stories that made it seem completely harmless. And it worked. The channel pulled in over 800,000 subscribers, with every video surpassing well over 1 million views. On the surface, it looked completely harmless. But behind all of that, something much darker was happening. Because in 2019, everything changed. Police were called to the house after one of the children managed to speak out about what was really going on behind the scenes. And what they found was nothing like the videos. An upload titled "Cops Discover 7 Kids Trapped in YouTuber's House of Horrors" started going viral on YouTube, and to over 13 million people, the truth about the household was finally revealed. It covered the abysmal lifestyle that Michelle put her kids through.
You know that spray that you use where there's like bad people and stuff?
Yeah.
P-E-P-P-E-R?
Yeah.
Spray?
Pepper spray? Yeah.
I'm keep two of those bottles on me.
Okay.
What made the mother look even worse was the fact that she sat down on her recliner the entire time while her children were losing their minds, acting as if she was perfectly in the clear. According to private investigators, the kids were being forced to perform for the channel, and if they made a mistake or forgot their lines, they were punished extremely harshly. This included, but was not limited to, being pepper sprayed, locked inside a closet for days, denied food and water, and being beaten with items from inside the house. On the outside, the content looked happy, but the reality was, this was severe child abuse. Other YouTubers began picking up the topic.
It clearly is not a strict curriculum, however, as Stacy says she's not allowed to do any schoolwork, and Michelle herself tells the police that she mostly focuses on teaching the children life skills because none of them are going to be, quote, rocket scientists.
What a bitch.
So it was no surprise that people in the comments started piecing the puzzle together. She used pepper spray to torture them because it doesn't leave a mark. Very calculated and evil. Only days later, YouTube went ahead and deleted the channel, and the kids were taken into protective care. The mother Michelle would go on to pass away from cardiac arrest while she was awaiting trial for multiple child abuse charges, and therefore, because of her death, the case was dismissed and never went to a full court verdict. Because of this outcome, the people who were actually affected by all of this were the kids. All 7 children were removed from the home and placed into better hands, and after years of being forced to perform on camera, each and every one of them completely disappeared from the internet. Their identities were protected and their lives kept private. It wouldn't be surprising if they've been scarred for life, although today, the channel and every single video have been permanently removed, and all that remains is an abandoned Instagram account of before everything went horribly wrong. However, Life with Brothers goes down a completely opposite route. Life with Brothers seemed like a completely normal channel. 2 sisters, Izzy and Mary, ran the show, and it was exactly what you'd expect from kids uploading videos where they posted thousands of times all about slime. They absolutely dominated the scene with this type of content, and it made sense, as 8 years ago, they were pulling hundreds of millions of views just playing with slime for 15 minutes. It was simple, harmless, and once again, it worked. The channel grew quickly, building a massive audience of nearly 7 million subscribers, with content that just felt like kids having fun on camera. But over time, that started to change, because as the years went on, the views slowly began to drop. The slime trend started dying out, and instead of slowing down, they pushed it even harder, uploading anything they could to keep it alive, like making slime in alphabetical order, Siri picks my slime ingredients, slime school detention, and don't choose the wrong iPhone, slime challenge. It got to a point where it was clear that the formula wasn't working anymore. So eventually, they had to pivot. The simple unedited videos were no longer existent, and in their place came something very different. Mukbang-style challenges, which were louder, messier, and far more exaggerated.
Mary! What's wrong with you? Why did you pick it up that early? That cookie broke. Oh, that's more cookies. Okay.
The videos no longer felt natural, and instead they started to seem structured and scripted. Moments that were supposed to feel spontaneous started looking planned, reactions felt exaggerated, conversations felt set up. And instead of just filming what was happening, it started to feel like everything was being constructed for the camera. And behind all of it was the parents controlling the direction. But the biggest change to the Life with Brothers account was who the content started to revolve around. While both sisters were still in the videos, more and more of the focus began shifting towards only one of them, Izzy. She became the center of everything. And as this kept happening, a pattern started to form. The pattern of how she was being portrayed. And over time, it stopped feeling like her own personality, and instead a character that the channel had built for monetization purposes. Meanwhile, the content itself kept escalating. The mukbangs only got bigger with every new video, where they started competing for entire tables filled with KFC, and other videos with dozens of burgers, fries, and tacos. Each one trying to go further than the last. And with that came a completely different kind of attention, because the comment sections started to change. Instead of people just enjoying the videos, they started hating on Izzy. Izzy, stop making us dislike you. Why did Izzy cheat the whole game? It's getting hard to watch these videos because of Izzy. Well, have you considered it might not be what she wants to do? Because on a secret account with only 80,000 followers, she uploaded a slideshow stating what she's truly going through. When I'm forced to eat junk food every single day just for views and likes. When I eat food for the video, but the clip doesn't look good enough, so I eat over and over till I feel like throwing up. When I'm the first thing that comes up on TikTok when you search Biggie. When I have an unhealthy relationship with food, but I can't stop because of my mum. When I can't stop because social media pays the bills. Sophie Fergie. Sophie Fergie was part of one of the most popular child influencer groups on YouTube, the Piper Squad, which was a group of young creators making videos together almost every day. And on the surface, it looked perfect. It seemed like a group of kids just having fun together, where the videos on everybody's channels pulled in millions of views, building massive audiences all across YouTube. Some of the biggest members included Piper Rockell and Gavin Magnus. However, over time, people started to notice something was off. Because the content had changed from friends hanging out to becoming heavily focused on relationships. For example, Last to Leave the Tent wins $10,000 was replaced with copying everything my crush does for 24 hours. It then turned into, my crush controls my life for a day, catfishing my crush to see if he cheats, and last to leave FaceTime wins $10,000, all involving kids who were still incredibly young. And the more the content leaned into that, the more uncomfortable it started to feel. But what viewers were seeing was only part of it. Because behind the scenes, the entire environment was far more controlled than it appeared. The squad wasn't exactly a group of friends, it was structured, filmed constantly, planned out, and heavily managed by the adults behind the camera, particularly by Piper's mother. And eventually, that started to come out. In 2022, 11 former members of the squad, some of whom were minors, came forward with a lawsuit, alleging things like emotional abuse, manipulation, harassment, and being pushed into content that was far too mature for their age. Some even claimed they were encouraged to act in sexually suggestive ways on camera, and just like that, everything changed. Because this was a serious look at what had actually been happening behind the scenes. Sophie was one of the members who had left the group, and at first, there wasn't much explanation. But not long after, she began speaking out, where she described an environment where the kids were pushed into content and placed into situations that went far beyond just harmless videos. Even years later, the aftermath was still messy, because in videos trying to end the drama, former members sat down to talk things out, but instead of clearing everything up, it only revealed more things like arguments between different parents, major fallouts during events, and friendships that quietly collapsed without ever being properly resolved. And as more information came out, the situation only got worse, as in 2024, a documentary series, Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing, featured footage and behind-the-scenes details showing just how controlled and manufactured the content really was. Today, Sophie Fergie has moved on, continuing her own content independently and separate from the group that helped make her popular in the first place. She hasn't posted a long-form video to YouTube in over 2 years, and her Instagram isn't looking too great either, losing over 100 followers a day or 6,000 every month. It's likely she's still scarred for life after dealing with all that drama at such a young age. But this doesn't seem like anything when comparing it to the 7 Supergirls. The initial premise of 7 Supergirls was actually pretty interesting. A group of 7 different girls were each assigned to a different day of the week, where they would upload one video on that same day. One girl uploaded Monday, another on Tuesday, and by the end of the week, the channel had a full schedule of content. At the time, it felt completely unique, and because every girl had a completely different personality, viewers would naturally connect with certain members more than others. It felt less like a business, and more like a group of online friends. And it exploded. The channel grew to over 9 million subscribers, pulling in billions of views, and becoming one of the biggest kids channels on YouTube. For a lot of the girls involved, it genuinely felt like a dream come true. One former member even admitted it was the first time she ever felt truly liked.
This is so sad, but this is like the first time in my life I've ever felt liked. I felt like wanted. I had never felt like that before. I was like, wow, people actually like me.
Trips were always happening, and to everybody, it looked completely normal. But once again, behind the scenes, things slowly started becoming more controlled. Because according to multiple former Supergirls, they weren't given much freedom at all. They allegedly weren't allowed to wear makeup, wear darker clothing, cut their hair, or even wear shoes in some videos. And every strange rule came with the same explanation, that the sponsors wanted it. But over time, the rules only became more bizarre. The girls were ranked against each other based on views, where they were compared constantly and even threatened with replacement if their videos didn't perform well enough.
Often, he would send us our stats. He would send us statistics of who was doing the best on the channel at that given time, and he would rank us. He would rank 11 through 15-year-olds based on how many views they got, and he would send it to everybody. It's literally like the Dance Moms pyramid. You're number 7. You suck. But he would threaten whoever was at the lowest position. He literally was like, if you can't get your views up, you're gonna be replaced.
Some of the girls described feeling less like creators and more like robots being controlled. And somehow, it got even stranger than that. Because according to former members, friendships inside the group weren't always genuine either. Some girls were assigned best friends for branding purposes, where they were encouraged to appear close on camera to make the channel seem more connected than it actually was. Which meant that even the friendships started becoming part of the content itself. And while viewers saw a bright, colourful kids channel, when the cameras were off, many of the girls were slowly becoming uncomfortable with the environment that they were in. Especially with the man controlling all of it, being Ian Rylett. Although, unexpectedly, in 2018, everything collapsed in a matter of seconds. The manager of the channel was arrested over allegations involving a minor connected to the network. And just like that, one of the biggest child YouTube channels on the platform was over. The videos disappeared, the channel was terminated, and something that millions of kids had trusted for years was gone in an instant. But where are the 7 girls now? Well, the lineup changed constantly over the years, so it's hard to pinpoint a consistent 7. Although the most recognizable ones include Jazzy Fuzz, Kaylin Wilkins, Jenna Arend, Catherine SSG, Mimi Jarvik, Ali Louise, and Rachel SSG. All of the girls have completely moved on from the channel, where some disappeared from the internet entirely. Others still upload occasionally, like Jenna or Kaylin. However, it's nowhere near the scale of what they used to pull on 7 Supergirls. And for all of them, what was once a dream opportunity as a kid ended with the realization that somebody they trusted behind the scenes was actually a horrible person. Swan and Neo. During their peak in 2017, Swan and Neo were 2 of the biggest child YouTubers in France. Their channel capitalized on real food versus gummy food, as well as implementing various challenges around the house, such as mini golf or a giant inflatable water park near their home. In doing this, the channel exploded to 7 million subscribers, turning the 2 brothers into some of the most recognizable young creators in the entire country, where today they still rank 37th most popular in all of France. To younger audiences that spoke their language, they were basically YouTube royalty. And for years, everything seemed completely normal. Until the entire image of the family collapsed, because Swan and Neo's parents became involved in a major criminal case that quickly exploded across French media. Before their online fame had fully kicked in, Swan and Neo's parents had worked with a matchmaking company that promised clients relationships with women in Asia and Eastern Europe. And over time of the family being in the spotlight, multiple people accused the company of misleading advertisement, manipulation, overcharging clients, and taking advantage of vulnerable people. And eventually, the situation escalated into a major court case in France. The parents were accused of offences including organised fraud, abuse of weakness, and moral harassment. And after years of legal proceedings, they were sentenced to prison. But the worst part of all of this was that the kids themselves weren't accused of anything, yet because their entire lives had already been made public online, they were dragged into the fallout anyway. Millions of people already knew exactly who they were, So when the controversy exploded, their names became attached to it instantly. And that emotional impact became obvious when Neo later spoke publicly about the situation. He admitted that the family had cried a lot after hearing the verdict, which he revealed on an episode with Jerem Star about the family drama as a whole. At one point, he even talked about doing everything he could to protect his younger brother Swan if it happened again in the future. And on his own channel, he posted a video titled "I Speak the Truth," where, to summarize it in its entirety, he makes the statement towards his parents, "I hope you won't destroy my family any more than you already have." Once they were out of prison, they did end up forgiving them and rebuilding a close relationship. It's still obvious their channel took a serious hit from the scandal. They were frequently pulling over 20 million views in their prime, but if you look nowadays, it seems only a few 100,000 chose to stay.